Welcome into today's broadcast right here at Cog Hill Farm. Now, Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the house for this episode, so here's Jason, Brooke, and our chicken master, Marycarl.
What is happening, y'all? This is another episode of the Cogcast podcast, episode number 55. You're getting good at remembering them. I'll be honest, I didn't remember that one, so I'm glad you did.
I don't know why, but I remembered it.
I'm glad you did, because I sure did not.
You hadn't even thought about what number it was.
I really hadn't thought about what number it was.
I'll let you slide. I got you covered.
This is a morning recording, so there's a lot going on this morning. My brain's a little
fried.
It's like a Waffle House scatterbrown.
I've been trying to get Marycarl to take me up on trying some Waffle House scatterbrowns, and she's just not up for it yet.
She's not up for the scatterbrowns yet. I just don't know why.
Not yet. I wonder if we're saying that right. Scatterbrowns. That was supposed to be funny.
You know, actually, looking through the comments, it looks like 99% of our fans love the way we talk and don't care if we mispronounce words or not.
That's right. We got a lot of positive feedback as far as how we pronounce things. And for the majority, y'all don't care how we talk. Care. We say salmon croquettes and salmon and...
I'm horrible, so I mean, don't even try.
I've never even thought about it until we started doing a podcast. And then, you know, after we got some feedback on how we pronounce things, it started occurring to me that we might have a little dialect going on.
I saw somebody say in the last podcast that you don't sound that Southern, but I sound way Southern. Ain't that crazy?
Well, I'm born and raised right here in Alabama. I've been in the same place all my life.
That's what somebody said. I don't even, we don't recognize it.
No.
We can't tell that we're talking any other way. It's just how we talk. But
well, I do know that some of Marycarl's friends, when she was younger, acted like she talked a lot more Southern than the other kids, which we didn't recognize because she's our child. Yeah. But, that was said several times with her coming up in school. And
she doesn't sound that Southern.
No, she doesn't. Not to me, but I guess she does to others.
Maybe so. Who knows? But speaking of Southern, that was one of the questions. We're going to do a little Q&A today and tell some stories. And one of the questions was that they went on to say how much they love the way we talk, and they want to know, do we put frosting on a cake or icing?
Well, I will say that's the only question I've read off this. You printed them out.
I did.
Extra large print, so no
glasses
required. And I brought them upstairs, and I read that question. That's the only one I've read.
Yeah.
So it's all going to be a mystery to me. And I don't know. Do we say...
We don't say frosting.
We don't say frosting. Yeah, you're right. We say icing.
We say icing. I don't think we've
What kind of icing you want on the cake?
Yep. What icing do you want on a cake? I've never
said frosting.
I've never said frosting.
No. I kind of don't even realize that those two mean the same thing. So
I don't
know why I was questioning what we said, but...
The only time frost ever comes up is if, we're going to have a frost on the ground outside, and that's equivalent
a big deal.
to us to y'all having snow.
That's a big deal if we have frost.
That's a big deal.
Speaking of that, I was just reading something about the latest video that's out, and it was talking about the bottom of the coop, how we put that mesh in there.
Yeah.
And it said, this may be a stupid question, but... Y'all being as far south as you are, you might not have this issue, but won't the chickens get cold with all that air coming through there?
Yeah.
Nope.
No, we have mild winters here, so
we're not concerned about the cold. We're concerned about the hot.
Yeah, the heat, ventilation, and cooling. Airflow is really bigger issue than winter here. And if it's every now and then, we'll get one of these crazy days in the wintertime, and it may happen once every 3 years, once every 5 years.
Might get down to 14 or 15.
Yeah, and so if it were to do that, we'll throw heat lights in there for one.
Yeah, but
just for a night.
Yeah, for the night.
Yeah.
But our problem is dealing with this heat versus dealing with the cold.
Yes.
So, no, that's not a stupid question. No question's stupid. We try to address everything, and we don't look at anything as, oh, that's a stupid question.
Yeah.
It's not that way. So keep
not
those
at all.
questions coming,
Keep 'em coming.
because there is no stupid question.
That made me think of, I posted a picture of Marycarl's basket of eggs I don't know, I want to say yesterday, but I don't know when this comes out versus when I posted that on Instagram and Facebook. But anyways, she posted, I took a picture of a basket of her eggs, and it had all these pretty blue and dark brown and green eggs. And somebody said, I know this is a stupid question, but do the eggs taste different because they're colors?
Question.
And I was like, that's not a stupid question. I mean, that's anybody that doesn't know would probably think that. And the eggs don't taste any different. They're exactly the same. It's just the shell's a different color.
That's just all it is. It's different shell. Now, you have those people that say that dark brown eggs are your richer eggs, and I don't want to argue about it, but to our taste, they're all the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's the definition, is all of them are the same regardless of the shell color.
Yeah, the shell color doesn't have anything to do with the flavor.
But you know what? Something that stuck in my head growing up was teachers that said there is no stupid question.
Right.
And they addressed that at the beginning of the year. And that just made you feel like you could ask anything.
That's right.
And I always, you had those that would be kind of snappy at what could be a stupid question, but I always felt at ease when somebody said there is no stupid question.
That's right.
And that's the way we are. So I even answered an email at one point, and they said, I don't know how you deal with all these people asking the same stuff that you've answered over and over and over again. Well, you might not have seen that answer.
Well, we're constantly getting new subscribers and new fans.
Yeah,
and
that's right. So there is no repeated question that's stupid. There is no...
I answered one this morning wanting to know about the flags around the garden.
Yeah. I mean, we get that all the time. And
that's probably the most asked question, I think.
And we do kind of get a chuckle to ourselves.
Yeah.
Hey, they want to know about the flags on the garden. We've answered it 1,000 times, but 1,001, here we go.
That's right. And if you don't know what the flags are around the garden, it is to help deter deer and our chickens and ducks and such.
That's right. Peacocks.
Peacocks
would be the number one.
And deer. Deer's the reason why I originally did it.
But out of our critters that we feed.
Yeah, peacocks now.
We used to feed deer.
Yeah, we used to feed deer in the back.
When we first moved here, before we had all this farm, we fed deer, and we would enjoy them coming up in the backyard. And I don't know what that would be like now with Gidget, the Pomeranian.
Oh my gosh.
Living here and us feeding deer. We don't feed the deer anymore simply because we don't want to bring them in, bringing ticks, diseases, whatever else to our...
And I took a picture of one the other day in the front yard.
We don't run them off. We don't run them off, but we don't feed them and encourage them to come here. Yeah, can you imagine us having a feeder in the backyard and Gidget learning that feeder went off at 12 o'clock every day?
She would hear it. She'd hear that feeder go off, and it would be...
It'd be on like Donkey Kong.
It would be. It would be crazy. My gracious.
Gidget's she's a little Spitfire Pomeranian.
She is a Spitfire Pomeranian.
Do you mind cutting the air on? I don't know if
I'm actually cold in here. I cut it down.
I think I'm approaching that midlife hormonal change, and I'm a little warm. I'm about to break out in a sweat, truth be known.
I thought it was cool in here when we came in, and I had cut the air off.
But I did walk to the mailbox while y'all were doing math.
That's what it was. I didn't know you walked.
I did. We've got a pod out front.
That
we
is
talked
correct.
about it in the last podcast. Podcast pod.
Yeah.
Out front, and I
got delivered yesterday.
Yes, and we've got the trailer hooked up on the truck, and I couldn't fit the car in between it, so I walked. And our driveway is 800 foot, and it goes up a hill, so I've worked up a little bit of a sweat.
That's what it is.
And I still don't hear that air kicking in.
It's on. I hear.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you for that, because
You're welcome.
I took a hat to the mailbox. I don't know if I said that.
Oh,
That's why I walked to the mailbox.
I got you.
Is we had a hat to ship, and I put it in the mailbox so they could pick it up just a little bit. Take it to their destination.
Well, I'm glad you did that.
I am. I was just thinking of something else that I wanted to talk about. Now I've lost it. Before we get to the questions, we're talking about the trailer.
Yeah.
Being filled up with stuff.
Right.
We had a big day yesterday.
We did have a big day yesterday. As y'all know, we are moving, and one of our main priorities right now is trying to get the animals set up And this is actually a question in here. We can address it now. And
give me a pen if you can find one.
I had one
so
up
I can
here.
mark it off. Oh, well, we don't have a pen, so we'll go over the same question 50 times.
Anyways, we actually bought all our stuff to make 4 paddocks.
Oh.
4 pasture areas for everybody, and that's female goats, the does, the bucks, the boy goats, Nugget, and chickens.
And Nugget may go in with the chickens. We're undecided yet.
Yeah, we're undecided yet on that. And we say chickens, we mean chickens, ducks, and geese. They'll all...
We've got a big enclosure for the peacocks. We don't know if that'll go in there or if it'll go in a separate paddock. But we decided it'd be better to be over-prepared than under-prepared,
That's right.
So we went with 4.
We went with 4, and I think they're 80 by 220, which is, I can't remember, but they're big.
It's a big area.
It's very big. It's way bigger than what they got now, and this isn't even half the pasture. So we're our plans are to make it even bigger or make it where we can rotate. But right now, to getting this done and getting them moved in will be great. So we'll be starting on that pretty soon.
Well, yesterday we knew that the pod was going to be delivered, and they give me a schedule from 2:30 to 5:30, which, the cable guy gives you that window of 8 to 5. So I was appreciative of 2:30 to 5:30 because that, gave us 3-hour window versus wasting our whole day sitting here.
That's right.
And so we did our chores, and we started thinking it was on up into the morning at that time, started heating up a good bit.
It's been super hot.
And we knew that we had to get the fencing supplies yesterday.
And it was a lot.
It was a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
So I started thinking, I said, we could go on and get this out of the way if we go on now and pick up the supplies versus wait until after the pod's delivered. Because say it gets here at 5:30, and then that's putting us at 6 o'clock getting there, and then they close at 8.
Yeah.
So, and plus I thought about ordering it online, and then I wanted to put my hands on it to make sure it was all there. So we wanted to buy it in the store.
Plus, now looking back, if that order was huge, if we would have bought that online, I don't think it would have saved us any time.
It wouldn't have accomplished one thing because it was all
just
post and fence and gates and auger.
We got an auger for the tractor, so I don't have to use the hand auger. We got an auger for the tractor, and
we went. We waited. We
Yeah.
waited. We boxed up some stuff yesterday because it was so hot outside. We went through some papers that we'd been needing to go through for a long time. You know, stuff from 17 years accumulates.
Yeah.
Paper-wise.
Yeah, paperwork and the...
Bank statements. I mean, just
cabinet.
all kind of
Yeah.
stuff that we needed to go through. So Jason and I sat down and did that while we waited on the pod. And then I heard my lovely Pomeranian barking. And I said, Marycarl, yelled downstairs. I said, look out front and see if that's them. And she looked out. She said, yep. And it was 2 o'clock.
They were 30 minutes early.
30 minutes early. So they came and dropped off the pod, and it was still hot.
It was extremely hot.
So we continued on with our paper searching and got a lot accomplished that we needed to do.
And then we waited in the evening time.
We did. We waited till late afternoon.
Yes.
Sun wasn't down yet because, of course, it gets dark here about 7:30. But
luckily, it was cloudy, and we could hear some storm rattling off in the
radar
distance.
looked okay, but you could hear that thunder, knowing that it was coming from somewhere.
But with 2 Tractor Supply employees, me and Brooke, but mostly it was me and the gentleman on the forklift, it took us 2.5 hours to load the trailer up.
It did.
Yeah.
And they're shorthanded.
They are.
We were outside the entire time.
Yes.
Wore a mask the entire time.
That's right.
And it was 100 degrees, even though it was late afternoon.
Yep.
And so that was a challenge. That was a challenge trying to get all that stuff loaded. Hot, even though it was late, it was hot. It was still hot.
It's still hot.
You were soaking wet.
Yes.
Mr. Glenn, our guy that helped load it, he was soaking wet.
Yes.
And thank goodness for a forklift.
Thank goodness for a forklift. And he was a good forklift driver, so that helped too.
He was. He was very patient with us, and we asked when we got there because we knew that they had some shorthand going on. I said, do you want me to come back another day? And they said, no, come on, we're gonna get you loaded right now. So
I think it was,
I'm kind of on first name basis with them, so
yeah,
I kind of feel
they
like
know us pretty well.
So I kind of felt like, it was a legit question to ask, do you want me to come back because you're shorthanded? they didn't have 3 employees. They had 1 working the cash register and then the 2 that were helping us.
That was it.
And so I didn't want to take that away from them.
And 2.5 hours with us.
We got it loaded. They did have somebody come and want to pump propane. Did you hear that part?
No.
And the lady that was helping us, she said, I can't pump propane. It's thundering.
Yeah.
So if
you
there's
know what? I never thought about that.
If there is any thunder off in a distance or lightning, whatever, they can't pump propane. And the lady got a little frustrated, and the employee told me, she said, it's just company policy. We can't do it. There's a risk when there's thunder, there's lightning, and that could cause a big explosion. So
static electricity, you never know.
No pumping propane while it's thundering. So that was the only interruption that we could have potentially had, and the cashier and the inside handled everything else. So we have a trailer full.
Total post altogether is close to 200.
Yes, quite close with T-post and wood post. It's close to 200.
4 rows of fencing.
But you know what I felt like after we got in the truck
and
we started headed back? No, you know what I was thinking?
What?
We've done a big job loading it and paying for all this stuff.
Yeah.
That ain't a tenth of it. We got to put it up.
We got to put it up.
So as hard of a job as that was to get it loaded and strapped down and then come off with all that money that it took to buy that stuff.
But here's the thing, though. The first one we did, that was a big paddock.
Yeah.
That was big.
Yeah.
This one's going to be more because we're separating everything.
We're going to do one big on the outside and then come back and do those separations.
But we don't have that handheld auger.
Let's just hope that this thing is all it's cracked up to be.
That too. And we don't have, and the ground with all the rain we have is soft, so we should be able to use the bucket on the tractor to push the T-post down. We tried it last time.
And it just bent them over.
It would just bend the T-post over because the ground was just so darn hard.
Well, I mean, we had some rain, but it wasn't substantial rain.
During the time we built that fence, and it was like...
Oh, yeah, it was like 45 days without rain.
It had gone 20... It had actually gone like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks.
That's right. I forgot
3 weeks
about
with
that.
no rain.
I forgot about that. We talked about all the rain we've had.
That was the only period since October that we've had no rain.
Yeah, that's right.
It was
I forgot about
24 days straight with no rain, and the ground had gotten rock solid.
Yeah, and that ground over there has already got gravel in it.
Yes.
So trying to drive in that hard ground with gravel in it was just impossible.
Plus, it's compact. It hadn't been worked. I mean, there's a whole kinds of things going on. So.
Nobody's lived there in quite some time, and there hasn't been any kind of animals on that pasture to help loosen the soil.
I will say this: if we get in there and we realize that tractor's not going to do it, then we're probably going to regroup and look at getting one of those
hydraulic
pounders.
Yeah. We've had several people tell us that
how great they are.
Yeah, that those come in handy. And what it is it's just like your post pounder, except it's got a little engine on it.
It's kind of like a jackhammer that you would break up concrete, but it's designed to pound T-post in the ground.
Yep. So that is an option if the ground is too hard.
Right.
But I'm like you. I kind of have a feeling that it's broke up enough to where...
I think so, too.
Or not broke up.
I think so, too.
Softened enough.
And for those that don't know the difference between what a T-post is versus a wooden post is your round, regular wooden post. A T-post is those metal ones you see, and I'm assuming they call them T-posts because of the little thing at the bottom.
I don't know. They've got little notches all the way up on where
little
you can put a clip on it
them.
That holds your fence in place, and it kind of forms like a band around it.
And they're just little... You can probably put your hands around them. They're not very big, but
they're sturdy metal posts.
Yep.
And that's what if you're not going to use wooden posts all the way down your fence, then this is the alternative when you're putting
They're
up.
quite popular now. I think back in the day, they wasn't quite as popular. People would find posts on their own property and make their own and trees and such.
Yeah.
But now T-posts are they're cost effective. They're way more cheaper than wooden post, and
I will
a lot easier to install than wooden post too.
I always thought we had a lot of T-post here.
Yeah.
Because we've come down the entire side when we had the pigs. We've fenced off, for the pigs when we had guinea hogs, and we've done this, that, and the other. We didn't have enough. We didn't have hardly any T-posts compared to what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we did pull up all of our old ones that we could utilize, but we were out of T-posts.
Yeah.
When we used them we
last
used
one.
all of ours for that flower fencing or garden fencing.
And that was only half of it because we used the chain link that's already existing.
So we didn't have near as many posts. We just knew we had a lot of posts, but how many is a lot?
Right.
So we didn't have enough.
Yeah. It's been crazy. And that's one of the main things, one biggest expense on a farm is that infrastructure that you're going to have to bite the bullet. And
I must say I grimaced a little bit, but I realize that has to be done. That's part of a transition from an old place to a new place is you got to have an enclosure. Without an enclosure, you have nothing.
Right.
We can't just go out there and turn everybody loose. Yeah, we say we've got, pretty much the whole place is fenced in, but we've told y'all before, we kind of want double fence. We want fence inside a fence.
Yeah, and we want to be able to separate everybody. Of course, we got to separate the goats for sure.
Yeah.
And we want Nugget's going to have a weight, like I said, 80 by 220. I think this, I can't do the math in my head, but over 16,000 square foot for sure. And so Nugget will have his own little area, and like I said, we may put not the goats, but the chickens in there with him.
Yeah, because we're not going to put him in there all alone.
No.
He's used to being with other animals, and those are his companions. That's what he's bonded with, because a lot of questions have been asked if we'll get Nugget a friend, and not right now. I mean, that may be something in the long run. We don't know. We don't even want to think about that right now, but he can't be alone. He's a social animal. He's been with his friends all this time, and so somehow, some way, we'll figure out how to get one of our, varieties of birds in with
there.
him.
And the
third paddock.
The structure, the shelter for Nugget is big.
It is big. It's 20 by 8.
Is that what it is?
Yep. It's 20 foot long by 8 foot
and it's
wide.
6 foot tall.
Oh, it's tall. It's 8 foot tall.
8 foot tall. It's big. So him and whoever else can get under there for
they
sure.
Can have
no
a party.
Problem. Yeah.
Nugget's going to be having a party.
And if we do put the chickens in there, of course, we'll put the chicken coop that we're working on now in there.
Yeah,
so.
and it may be that we could put the feed up under there, because there's no way that Nugget can get up under that trailer and eat. We're talking about putting the feed up under there for the chickens so they could, feed could be sheltered or whatever. Well, Nugget's going to need a tall thing because he can't duck up under the trailer to get his feed.
We can put Nugget's feed under the shelter.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, okay. That's right. Instead of on the chicken coop.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And another thing is big day today is they are supposed to be moving the power pole that is right dead center of where we want to build our house.
Yeah, that's been the biggest holdup. I know we hadn't done any videos on the barnuminium or the farmhouse since we talked about the site guys, but we're at a dead still. We're waiting on the power company to come in and move the power pole. Now, to their... It has rained. It has stormed and rained here almost every day. And so when it rains, that pushes back a day. And so all this rain, they were supposed to have gotten in there last week and couldn't do it. And
not necessarily is it us. It's rain that has held them up from other jobs
yeah,
that has prevented them from doing our job.
Just pushes everything back. And then,
we didn't know where we wanted the house, so we didn't want to have a pole moved and then have them come back and put the pole back.
Exactly.
If we weren't building the house there. So he told us, he said, look, I don't want to move this pole twice. He said, I'm here to help y'all. I'll do whatever it takes, but I don't want to move it twice. So y'all figure out what you want to do before I come and move this pole.
And then he came and me and him met over there and talked about it. And, I was like, look, if this was your place, what would you do? And he gave me some ideas. And so right now, because we're going to have some more poles moved because we're going to have power to the house, we're going to have power to the barn. But he said, right now, let's move the pole. That's where your house is going to be. Well, let's not move it.
Let's remove it.
Yeah, he's going to take it
away.
Out. He said, and then the site guys can come do their work.
Because it's what it's called is an end pole.
Yeah, it's an end pole.
It's a line that runs to the end, but it has no power on it. It's a supply pole to go further. Right. And we don't need it because...
if the house wasn't going to be built there, we could go from there to the barn.
Right, but we didn't want to do that.
Right.
See, if we had done that back when we were talking about supplying power to the barn, the pole to the barn's sitting there ready.
Yeah.
But if we had came from that pole that we're having removed to the barn, guess what?
It'd
have to be removed.
It'd take all the power they just put on the barn off and remove that pole. So I'm glad we waited.
Yeah, well, as bad as I wanted to say, go ahead and do that so we could have power to the barn, because power to the barn means, we can move stuff in and we can make sure there are no rodents. And not that we can't do that without power, but it sure would make things easier.
It would make things easier. And we'd have somewhere to put our deep freezes. But,
that's right.
But my mom and dad stepped up on that and said we can put them over at their house.
Well, not only did your mom and dad step up, Jeffrey, our friend down the road, he watched the podcast and sent me a text. He said, look, if push comes to shove, y'all are welcome to use my shop.
That's right. He's got a big shop.
And that's awesome.
Yes,
so we certainly appreciate, Jeffrey, your offering to put the freezers in there. It really means a lot to us to know that, somebody would step up and go that extra mile to have our food frozen.
That's right.
We wouldn't have to waste it all. But we have 2 deep freezers. One of them has bird feed stored in it, basically.
Oh, that's right, from Marycarl.
We buy bird food for her cockatiel, conure, and what's that other thing?
Pilgrim?
No, he ain't a pilgrim. That's a goose. Mondu. What is he? He's not a ringneck. He's what are they? Invasive birds. What's Mondu?
I thought it had something to do with, it's not pilgrim. Something like that, though.
So we buy food in bulk. You figure out what he's called. We buy food in bulk and freeze it in gallon Ziploc bags, so that way it doesn't get those little. They're moths, is what they are. And
we've had them before.
And if you go to a pet store, you probably see them flying around on the bird aisle because they get in that bird feed and they feed on it, and it turns it to basically to sawdust. And you don't want to feed your bird something that a moth has chomped on. So we put it in the freezer, and that preserves it until we run out and need another bag, and then we put it in the house, and it goes very fast. So that will have to be put somewhere else, and we will have that. And we have, pigs that we're going to have a lot of meat there, so we'll need somewhere to store it come January. But hopefully we'll have our shop built by then. Jason's trying to figure out what Mondu is. Marycarl is going to think this is hilarious.
He's going to be crazy.
He's an invasive. I don't know what he is. He talks all the time. And anything that you say, he will try to repeat. He's not a monk. Goodness. I'm going to holler at her and ask her.
Robert at Daybird Aviaries is hollering at the camera right now. Hollering at it.
He says, I know what Mondu is. You keep talking.
All right. Marycarl.
What is Mondu? Okay.
What is he?
I can't tell you. Because I'm going to tell him.
Oh, okay.
You still don't remember?
It's on the tip of my tongue. It starts with a P, though, don't it?
Huh, what?
Does it start with a P?
Nope.
It doesn't. It's not like a
it's
pilgrim.
It's the letter after a P. Mondu is a Quaker parrot.
Quaker. Pilgrim Quaker. I was close.
Okay. So, Mondu is a Quaker parrot. Peanut is a conure. And Zerk is a cockatiel. And they all eat, well, who eats the same? Mondu and Zerk eat the same kind of feed.
Yeah.
And Peanut eats something totally different.
Right.
So we keep that feed in the freezer because our nearest bird feed supply store or Amazon is shipping it in bulk, and we would run out so quick if we just had little bags. So that's what's in one of our freezers, and the other one has food in it.
Right.
So that covers that. Now, ask me at the end of this podcast what Mondu is, and I will not remember. But he's a funny bird. He is a very funny bird. He talks all the time.
Nonstop.
If he hears something, he's going to repeat it.
Yes.
Robert at Daybird said it takes one time for them to hear something and pick up on it and want to repeat it. And he's once he gets going, he'll just talk and talk and talk. Marycarl told me the other day, she said, Mama, if somebody were to come in this house during the middle of the night, they would turn around and head out. And I said, why? And she said, because 2 of the 3 of her birds say, hello. hello.
Yeah.
When you walk in the door, and it's just their norm. They just say hello every time. We don't think anything about it, but if somebody came in this house that wasn't supposed to be here and they opened that door and that bird said hello, they'd probably have a run for
or what are you
money.
doing?
What are you doing?
That's what he loves to say. What are you doing? Over and over and over again. What are you doing?
And he can say, Marycarl.
Yeah.
Because I guess I call her a lot.
He'll go.
And he barks like a, kind of tries to bark like a dog.
Act like a chicken.
Like the convection oven or the oven.
Can't do it on command, though, so it's hard to recording.
No, you don't ever know what that bird is going to say.
And if you go in there, he'll shut up.
Oh, yeah. And what's crazy about the hello part is if you shut the door, he says hello.
Yeah.
But you open it back and he doesn't say it because he sees you.
Yeah.
But you shut the door and he says hello again.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Crazy.
So we got to get our freezers over to your mom and dad's because we can plug them in and just.
That's right. And then that was a question that came up is about the freezers and storage. And a lot of people asked was, how come we just didn't buy a shipping container?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people asked, how come we just don't buy a shed?
Well, it's still got to have power to it.
Still have to have power to it. And then the shipping containers, them things are expensive. They've gone up since all this mess with COVID and stuff.
20-foot shipping container delivered to us at our new farm was just at $5,000.
Yeah.
$5,000. I don't want to put $5,000 in something I can't move.
That's the other thing is that you can't. We have no way to move it.
I say I have a way to move it, but Jason thinks I don't.
Yeah.
I think I can just hook a chain to it and pull it with the tractor, but it's not that easy.
It's not that easy.
It would dig down in the ground. Mm-hmm. I even read about these feet that you can buy that you put on it to make it easier to pull across the. It's still got to go somewhere, and we still have to have power to it.
Yeah, still have to have power to it, and then sheds are. We priced all this out. They're so expensive.
And the thing is we're not going to need the shed once we get power to the barn.
Yeah,
we got that big, huge space
it
that
is.
Can be used
the
for
barn's
storage.
Big.
But it just doesn't have power yet. And I don't want a shed if I've got that.
Right.
And then we've got a 3-car garage that's going to be built
that's
with
right.
ample space for tools and, know, all of our things that don't need to go in the barn.
Correct.
So I just don't want to put cost into something if we don't have to.
I agree.
And not being overly frugal, but it's just an extra expense that I don't want to encounter if we don't have to.
So that is the reason why it's just money. I mean, more than anything, money, and then having to have it on our mind that we don't want it in this spot. We want to move it.
And we don't know exactly where everything's going to go. We want to Porta-J garden out in front of our house.
That's right.
And so what if that shed were to be right there where I want that Porta-J and stuff like that, you just got to think about that kind of stuff. I don't know where they would put it.
I don't know where they put it. Because it'd be in the way. Especially now, especially when we're fixing to put the paddock. The only place I could think would be on the other side of the pasture, and there's no power. No power, no water.
Yeah. So that's the reason that we are kind of in limbo about what to do with our stuff. But
that's why we got the pod.
Yeah, we got the pod. And the pod, it doesn't have power in it.
No.
But we can put all of our, most of our furniture and our boxes and our things that we need to store until that garage is complete.
And then they can, because, if we did buy a storage container for stuff, we'd have to load it up here.
Yeah.
And take it over there. And I don't know how many trips that would take.
You're talking about a shipping container?
Yeah, if we bought a shipping container to store our stuff in.
Yeah, because they're not going to come back and move a shipping container. I'm not buying it. I'm just,
Right.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'm saying we'd buy it and it would be delivered out at the 40.
Oh yeah.
And then we would have
to go from here to
there with our stuff. With this pod, it's just right out the front door, and we're just we ain't started yet, but we're gonna start packing it up.
That's right.
Then they're gonna come get it and move it to over there for us.
That's right.
That way we can unpack it. So I saw some people, because I posted a picture of the pod on Facebook and Instagram in the story section, and there was a lot of people that said the best decision y'all ever made. We've done this, and it's so easy with the pod. Even though it does cost a little extra, it's so much easier with the pod.
Well, I just couldn't fathom at all, us going from here to there and there to there, and and it all working out. And we're down to days. We're not even in the months anymore. We're down to days as to how much time we have. And yeah, we got it boxed up, but we didn't have anywhere for it to go. So this is going to be, I think, we'll know more. Probably next podcast, we'll know a lot more about how this is going to work out. But I think it's going to be perfect.
I think so, too. I really do.
We'll answer some questions, and we'll probably get distracted a little bit.
That's right.
Let's start at the top because we don't have a pin to mark it off. So, can we see more videos working on the chicken coop?
Yes, it's gonna be a little series. I guess y'all saw the one that just came out. We've already filmed 2 more.
Yeah.
Already, and then we got another one in the end. So yeah, there's gonna be several videos of the new chicken coop.
Right. There'll be several of the chicken coop, and y'all might be tired of seeing chicken coop by the time it's over. I hope not, because it's something that has to be done, and you'll follow us along to see what we did to make this trailer a coop.
And it's turning out way better than we anticipated.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
I will say that. It is turning out way better than we anticipated.
You should watch it just because you're going to be amazed at what beginning to end transformation is.
That's right.
I am amazed anyway, so I hope y'all are. When you're all done and totally moved and settled into your barn dominium, will you resell your RV or will you keep it?
We're going to sell the RV.
We're going to sell the RV.
Yeah, especially when we went on our break and went camping and took the little canned ham. We realized that there's just we won't be able to pull that big old thing around and go places where we like to go. And
besides the fact that we don't have a truck big enough to pull it, and that would be
another expense.
Yeah, another expense. And not to say we couldn't use a bigger, 3,500 or so, 2,500 or so truck.
Right.
We don't necessarily think we would go enough to justify keeping an RV.
Right.
Our little canned ham, we plan on keeping it. And that is the little camper that we redid, that we took to the beach with us just a few weeks ago. We feel like that's ample for just the 3 of us. And, we
do have the Airstream, and we talked about Airstream. And there's a question that this will fall into is if we bought one of these buildings, couldn't we turn it into a place to sell our produce or flowers from or whatnot?
Like
That's
a
question.
Shed or something?
A shed or something like that. And we have now decided that we may turn the Airstream into a little shop.
We may put the Airstream back together. We may leave. We don't know. We may end up fixing the Airstream, not for camping, but for selling produce and flowers
and whatnot.
Yeah, because we've already got it. That wouldn't be any added expense. Yes, we have the truck that's rustic and still being worked on, but we could hook that Airstream to that truck.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But that's what we were thinking.
That is what we were thinking.
We're not throwing in the towel yet on the Airstream. However, it's becoming less and less likely that we're going to fix it to camp in.
And I tell you where we got inspired from is our buddy Jason over there. So the land went and visited a quail farm that raises pasture-raised quail.
Yes, that place was awesome.
It was awesome. And they turned a Airstream into a processing facility.
Into a mobile processing.
For their quail. And I just thought that is the coolest idea. And the lady said that she didn't want an eyesore.
Yeah.
And she found a deal on Airstream. She thought, how cool would it be to have an Airstream that they could do their work in for the quail? And I was like, that light bulb went off. And I was like, how awesome would that be?
Well,
for us.
We have said in the past, as we're going to the beach and we drive through the little scenic areas on the beach in North Florida,
right?
They have an area called Seaside, Florida.
Yes.
And it has a little area where there's a bunch of little food trucks set up. And most of those food trucks
are all Airstream.
Airstreams.
They're all Airstream, and I think they have to be. I think that's a rule.
Maybe, but it's cool looking to see those Airstreams repurposed into a food truck. Now, we are not going to have a food truck.
No.
I can promise you that. I like to cook collards and cornbread
That's right.
at the Cog Hill. I don't want to cook them for a food truck.
Right.
So, that being said, we know that we've always known that they could be repurposed into different things.
Yes.
And it's always been fresh on our mind. But after camping in the little canned ham, we realized that it's just it's meant for us.
Well, it could be a workstation. We're going to have a workstation where we're dealing with these flowers. Cut flowers. They're going to have to be, trimmed off and all that. And we could do that in the Airstream, probably put air conditioning in it.
Yep. And
it could be like a garden facility of some sort for us.
And we're talking down the road.
This will be down the road, yeah.
We do have the trailer backed up under the frame of the Airstream that's
we have
parked
to lower
here.
It, yeah.
And we're going to put it back on the
trailer
over to the new farm and just store it with all of its components that we have taken out while we've gutted it, and be ready for whenever we decide to transform that, which will be after we build our house. I guess that's the same thing. Shed. Are you going to keep the same name?
Yes, we're going to keep the same name. We're not going to change the name up at all. It was the name.
The name goes
brand.
With us. The name is
of
ours.
Our farm. So we wouldn't change. It'd be like Joel Salatin selling his farm and moving to Kentucky. It still would be called Polyface Farm. So we won't change the name. It'd stay the same.
Same Cog Hill Farm. How do you say this word?
I'm assuming that's Dahlia.
Uh-huh.
And that's how we say it. I don't know.
That's
if that's
how
right.
I say it too. Dahlia.
I
don't know if that's right or not. Y'all laugh and make fun of us and tell us how you say it with the pronunciation, how you say it.
It's funny that after that video, last podcast, how many people were like, how y'all say this?
Uh-huh. And then, there were so many that said that whole pecan and pecan thing is overrated. And, it aggravates me that it's such an issue. It just enlightened me.
I will say this about that. I've never ran into anybody that says, no, pecan is not the right way to say it. It's pecan.
But you don't.
Pecan people don't care how you say it. It's the pecan people that I've seen that get on you. Boy, them pecan people are rough. Boy,
you're just knocking those pecans, aren't you?
I won't ever forget. I bet
they're nuts. What do you think?
I went to the Hand Hewn Farm pig processing class in Tennessee a couple of years ago, and there were some Georgia people there, and it was all joke and all in fun, but they're serious about that pecan. They were like, no,
it's because they're nuts.
It's pecans.
That's
it's not pecans.
It's all because they're nuts.
I like that little dad joke.
Yeah, I come up with that all on my own, just while I was sitting here. Kind of weedy, huh?
Oh, it was weedy.
How are you handling the animal facilities? We haven't seen much on Nugget and the rest, and that's kind of what we've been talking about as far as the paddocks, and we do have a shelter for Nugget.
Nugget's got a shelter. It has
not been put together.
That's right.
It is basically what it is. It's the same thing that we have for the pigs on the 40.
Yeah.
It's just a much bigger.
Yeah, much bigger. And I will say this, the pig one has held up quite well.
And that's what made us decide to go with those pigs. They listen to rap music, and they do all this shimmying and shaking on the side of it, and Nugget doesn't do that.
No,
he's a country boy, and he just bobs his head. So
he's not gonna.
I'm thinking if that shelter will hold up to all this, then this has got it covered.
That's right.
You don't think?
I think you're right.
He's just a country boy.
Yeah.
And pigs,
them pigs get down.
City boys. They get down. So we have a shelter already there for the peacocks as well.
I haven't put it together either.
And
it's pretty big too.
It's really big.
26 foot long.
It came in 3 boxes.
Yeah, it's big.
And I keep telling Jason, we need to put this thing together to make sure all the parts are there, because you know how you're shorted like one little bracket here, one little bracket there. We hadn't had time. And
that would be that's going to be a job. That's not going to be anything that's going to take an hour.
I know, and that's what worries me. Is we're getting short on time. Have you considered making one of those trailers your business center for your products? We're talking about that with the Airstream, so that kind of and this is talking about if I had 40 acres, I'd get a storage container. Why pay somebody else? Okay, so we covered that.
We covered that.
Is Nugget going to be lonely? He used to being with chickens.
Yep.
We cover that.
Yep.
See, if I had the pen, I could have marked these off.
That's right.
You say it took 17 years to get your property where it is now. So how long do you think it's going to take to do the next? I plan on living to 105. That's my goal.
My granddaddy is what?
He's 99. In October, he'll be 99.
99 October.
10, 12, 22 is when he was born.
10, 12, 22.
I used to take him to the eye doctor.
For some reason, you have a photographic memory when it comes to birthdays.
I don't remember his social security number, though, and I do know yours and your driver's license number and all that good stuff. But
birthdays, you can go, this is so-and-so's birthday, and I'm like, you ain't talked to that person in 16 years. How in the world? I'm the total opposite. There's two things that I cannot remember, and it's just me. My brain does not register it, and that is people's names.
That's okay. That's what you got me for.
Is dates.
That's what you got me for.
I have to put dates, reminders in my phone. It's not that I don't, birthdays and our anniversary. It's not that I don't care.
I was just fixing to tell you, in 3 days, a friend of ours that is now divorced would have been married for 21 years in 3 days, and she's now divorced, and they were married on August the 28th, and I don't know how I remember that.
I don't know how you remember it, but me, I have to put reminders because
I'll look at my watch on the 28th, and I'll say, hey, that was so-and-so's anniversary. Yeah. I remember that day well, but I don't know.
I can't. It does not. And maybe, I'm not the only person like that. There's a lot of people out there that are like that.
Maybe Marycarl got the best.
Maybe
of both of us, and she can remember.
We couldn't remember Pilgrim and Quaker Parrot.
Yeah, but that's different. But if you ask me the year that Zert was born, I could probably tell you that.
Yeah. Well, Marycarl's good because she'll say today's Zert's birthday.
Yeah, she is. She's good at remembering. I know what we said. I said something about, she said, Mama, what day did you say we might be closing on the house? I said, September 17th. She said, that's the day we got Zerk.
Yeah. See,
did you hear her say that the other day?
Yeah. And I can't,
it just floors you that.
It does. I can't, it doesn't register with me at all.
And I said, I remember that date. I remember September 17th getting Zerk from Robert Day. And then we were at a poultry show in Clanton.
That's right.
Remember that?
That's right. We were in a poultry show at Clanton.
September 17th. And gosh, if I remember correctly, it was pretty cool. Maybe that means cooler weather's coming.
It wasn't that cool.
Have you ever tried? This is going to be a good one.
That's why I put it on there. So, we talked about salmon and how we started liking, we were starting to get big on fish. And, of course, I think we talked about our favorite snack is popcorn. So somebody want to know how we tried hummus, which a lot of times I'll say humus a lot.
Well, I always say humus. And y'all are probably really laughing at this one. What's really funny is when you go to, like PETA, one of those Mediterranean restaurants, and they ask you what side you want, and you say humus. They look at you like
you're crazy.
Because they probably didn't learn themselves that it was hummus until they started working there,
probably
is what
not.
I'm thinking. Yeah. So, it's humus.
We do like hummus. Matter of fact, we make it every now and then.
We do. Yeah. We put a little tahini paste.
Yes.
And chickpeas.
Yes.
And we like fresh herbs in it and a little olive oil and fresh garlic. Mm-hmm. And we blend it all together and try to use a healthy dipping source, and we all enjoy humus.
This was funny. Have you tried to rig up some kind of umbrella for the big orange, your tractor? And we've said this several times. Is that we are going to get you? Would you get tickled when I call it a bonnet? We're going to get you a roof.
You're going to get me a bonnet,
a shade for the tractor, but we were told. And we've read this over and over again. You can't tow them with that on it because the wind will rip it off or mess it up.
Say that again. What will rip it off?
The wind. The D silent.
The wind. So that tractor is here right now.
That's what we've towed it back over here.
It's here. It's here to help us load some stuff.
We saw one yesterday that looked like it. I thought about that commercial, that toothbrush commercial with the mouth with the flip top lid. That's what that one looked like because it had blown over because the back of it was all messed up. You could tell it was broken and
it was all crashed up. And as soon as Jason saw it, he looked at it and he pointed. He said, "That one's come off before."
That's why we don't tow it.
That's why we don't get one.
But we are going to get you as soon as everything settles. So in a month you're going to probably have you a big bonnet for the tractor.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
this is ridiculous.
Now I'm curious. This was asked last week, and we didn't get to it, but a lot of people were asking about the guy in the intro of the podcast.
And Jason had to edit it out. I started talking about it, and Jason had to edit it out of the podcast because he couldn't remember the guy's name.
I can't remember names.
I know it's Big Mike.
No, it's Big Dave.
Oh.
Big Dave Richardson.
Big Dave.
I knew it was Big Dave, but I couldn't remember his last name.
Well, maybe you'll edit out Big Mike.
And so Big Dave Richardson is a DJ in the Birmingham area, and he loves the show. And
Birmingham,
he reached
Alabama.
out. Yep, and reached out to me and said, "Man, matter of fact, he did the intro and sent it to me and said, 'How do you like it?' And I was like, 'Man, it's awesome. Way better than anything I could ever do.'
I think it's great too.
And I love it. So that is a staple to the podcast. Is Mr. Big Dave Richardson over in Birmingham. So that's who did that. So y'all go check him out. I think he does several stations. It's not just one.
I bet his name's David Michael though.
Why you think that?
Because I called him Mike.
Oh, Dave.
So, David Michael.
Yeah, maybe.
Michael David. Maybe. We have not been drinking, I promise you.
No, we just got the giggles.
Are you going to be getting new mini flags for the 40?
Absolutely, we're going to.
We've had some fans that have sent us a few.
We have,
and we've got them boxed up, and
Yes.
they're ready to go.
We do,
but we're not going to put them up until we get there.
You know, speaking of fans sending us stuff, we've been tossing this around.
Yeah, y'all tell us what you think.
Tell us what you think. We get a lot of stuff from fans.
Some of it is just, I mean, over the top.
Right.
All of it is special to
Right.
us. But some of it is so over the top that we would like to share it with y'all.
Well, not only just that, just everything.
Everything we want you.
And you can hear it through the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Everything, you know. So, long story short, we are thinking about maybe doing an extra podcast where we open up everything that you guys send us and maybe do one a week or maybe one a month. I don't know yet. Just y'all give us some feedback on that. And of course, you know, we'd probably just sit around and have a good time
it
with
probably wouldn't happen until we get moved.
Yes.
Because it's just impossible right now.
Yeah, because we got so much stuff everywhere.
But is that something y'all would want to see, or would it not interest you at all?
Yeah,
let us know what you think
Yeah.
about that. Because, like I said, we get some cool stuff, and I see some other channels that do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
our buddy Lester over there at I'm a Survivor Donkey Sanctuary.
Yes, he does that, and I don't know if it interests people or not. So
I don't know either.
Y'all
so
tell us if it interests
let us
you.
know.
Because everybody's different. Well, we have different fan base than they do, and vice
That's right.
versa. So if y'all don't want to see it, then we ain't gonna do it.
Maybe I missed something, but the fig trees. Everybody's there's lots of big question is are we taking fig trees with us? I will be taking cuttings from our fig tree, and I will make a video about that
As soon as we find some pots.
Yes.
We've put the pots somewhere.
Matter of fact, when I cleaned out the greenhouse, I found some pots.
Did you?
Yes.
Good.
So we can do that way.
You went to go do it the other day, and you said, I don't have any pots.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have collected all of our old pots from plants in the past, and there was a time when we said we don't need these, and we did away with most of them, but you found enough.
We took them to our local nursery and
we
gave
did.
them to them.
We dropped them off so we could recycle them.
Mm-hmm.
We felt like we were back to square one, but you found enough to take the cuttings. Good.
That's right.
Maybe that can be this week or so.
Coming up.
It is getting late in the week.
It is getting late in the week. I will say this too, talking about the podcast, doing that extra podcast. Once we get moved and everything's settled, we are planning and discussing maybe doing 3 vlogs a week too.
Yeah, because we're going to have so much content.
Yes.
And there's going to be so much going on. It's going to be so fast paced that I don't see how we can keep up if we don't do 3.
If we lived out there now,
we could
if
do
we
3.
were living out there now,
we could do 3.
And we're in the situation we are in now, that we don't have the house built, we're working on the chicken coop, but we were staying out there, I could do 3 a week easily.
No problem.
Yeah. But the issue is the internet. So
yes.
I have to drive over there, which is an hour. I drive over there, then I have to upload the videos and get all that, and I'll do them in bunches. I'll do a podcast and I'll do a vlog that day. But you've realized the upload may take 20 or 30 minutes per
Right.
one. So that's an hour.
Yep.
Or that'll be 2 hours once I do the podcast and that. But the time it takes me to type up the description, search keywords, come up with a title, do the thumbnail, that's another hour or so. And next thing you know, that's 3 hours, and I have to drive back. That's 4 hours. So there's 4 hours out of the day
that's wasted,
gone, and I can't do that 3 times a week.
Not when we're trying to move.
Not when we're trying to move.
Not when we're trying to move.
If we were out there full time, it wouldn't be no big deal because I could get it going and go do something.
It won't be long.
It won't be long.
It won't be long.
So
and that puts my scary face on again.
So I do plan on doing 3 vlogs, and if y'all say yes to the us opening up stuff in the podcast, then maybe 3 podcasts a week.
And
so
Marycarl would contribute to that because that would be something she likes to do, and she enjoys looking at what people have sent and stuff like that. And y'all could see more of Marycarl because she would want to do that.
And Marycarl's the one that decided that she got tired of doing the podcast. She was so gung ho and loved doing it, and was researching
it's
it.
Like a switch.
But like a switch went off, and she was like, do I have to do it? I'm like, no,
I really
girl.
don't like that podcast thing anymore.
Yeah, that's what she said. So,
but she would want to do the opening because
I think she'd want to do the opening
that would be
too.
Spontaneous, and you know, she felt like she had to have everything researched and perfect, and I think that she said a few things that she researched and they will come to find out weren't exactly correct, like turkeys not living in the 50 states,
right? Or something like that.
And she kind of felt like she wasn't doing a thorough enough job. We said nothing to her. She can read the comments. She's no dummy.
Yeah. But and like she would do. She would spend so much time getting ready for the podcast. We don't spend. This is as spontaneous as it gets.
That's right.
So, but I think that's what people like is the spontaneous of it.
Oh, I think if we had it structured and we wrote down our answers to our questions and talked about it that way, then nobody'd want to see that mess.
Probably not.
Do we get snakes in our chicken coop?
Yes, we do get snakes in our chicken coop.
We have never had a snake in our new chicken coop.
You're right. We've never had 0 snakes in a new chicken coop. But once a year. If there's like once or twice a year, we'll get a chicken snake.
We have not had a snake this year, even near the chicken coop.
We have not.
And last year, we only had one last year.
I agree.
I remember Marycarl went down there, and she came running home, and you were at work. And it must have been during the summer because she was home, and she wasn't in, no. Anyway, she said, Mama, there's a snake down there. There's a snake down there. And that's just an uncommon sighting here.
Yeah.
You just don't. We know that snakes are here, but they are not in the area where the animals are.
We don't see many snakes
or
at
where
all.
we are.
We really, really don't.
And so I went down.
We used to see more than we do now, but there always been chicken snakes.
Yeah, always chicken snakes.
Yeah, we don't see many. I mean, we've been here 17 years, and I can count on one hand that we've seen a poisonous snake.
That's right. I mean, it's just they're few and they're here, but they stay out of our way for whatever reason, whether it be the cats or the chickens or the ducks or geese and nugget and
who knows,
peacocks and turkeys. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for what you would think that would encourage snakes because of all the eggs and such.
And we gather the eggs daily too.
And we keep it clean.
And we do keep it clean.
So if you don't have a rodent problem,
that's true.
You may not have a snake problem.
Because the snakes will come after the rodents.
We keep all of our feed in sealed containers.
Yeah.
We keep it all under cover so it doesn't get molded and mildewed.
We clean the coops out pretty much monthly.
I will tell you this. One day we were at the 40 and I opened that barn door. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I opened that barn door, there was a chicken snake and he was as long as I was.
Right.
Do you know why he was there?
Eating the rats.
Eating the rats and mice.
Yep.
So that was my first thought is there's no feed here to attract those rats. The rats are here. We just got to move them out and make them realize this is not their habitat anymore.
Right.
We had the same thing happen when we built this house.
Oh, yeah, we did.
We built in a mouse territory, and that's what they were used to living, and we built the house on top of them, and it took us a while to get rid of them, and it's going to be the same thing over there.
I agree.
But if you don't have a rodent problem, not to say you won't have a chicken snake.
Right.
Because they are after eggs, but they're also after rodents.
Yep.
Control the rodents and possibly keep the snakes under control.
We call them all chicken snakes. Some people call them rat snakes. Some people say there's a difference between a rat snake and chicken snake. I have no idea. We call them chicken snakes.
Yeah, that's right. And we don't freak out over a snake.
No, we don't unless we almost step on it. Then, anybody's going to freak out. You're going to like Michael Jackson.
I'm telling you a story. Do you remember last year when we were outside and we were near the chicken coop area and a snake ran right by in front of one of us?
That is right.
And went into the hydrangeas?
Yep.
And went under the chicken coop?
Yep.
And it happened so fast, and that snake was moving so fast that we would not have seen it.
No, and chicken snakes, that's how we can tell a chicken snake typically because they're usually 6 foot long or better.
Big snakes.
They're always super
big
long.
Snakes. They look like anacondas.
They're so big.
I don't want a snake on me or near me.
Right.
I'm just not a reptile kind of person, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
But I know that they're here, and we live in their territory.
Yeah, we do. We're in the country.
We're in
the
the
woods.
country. So I'd say that's my advice to you is to control your rodents and keep your eggs picked up, keep your coops clean, and you will potentially eliminate a snake problem.
That's right. This has been asked before. Gardening hats. Have we thought about doing gardening hats or a straw hat? Yes, I have. I've looked into that. That is something that I probably will do with the Cog Hill Farm logo on it, but it would be later down the road. Can't do it here for sure.
Thank you.
But that would be something that I would do later down the road. They're not going to be super inexpensive. That's the thing. But I've had so many people ask about them, so it may be something we'll do a trial run on, and if there's good feedback on it, then we continue to do it. It's just that the straw hat itself is not too bad. It's the band that the logo goes on that's expensive.
Right. And we couldn't sell it if people weren't interested in it.
Right.
Therefore, we don't know what the cost point is. So
I tell you, I'm a sucker for a gardening hat.
I saw you somewhere when we I don't know.
I'm drawn to them. If it was up to me, I'd have 50 of them. I love every one I see.
That pod is only going to hold so many straw hats.
I love everyone. I get one. I say, this is my favorite one. And then I get another one. I say, nope, this is my favorite one. I love them.
Well,
sun hats.
I had been wearing that big old hat when I bush hogged.
Yeah.
And I figured out that even though it's not heavy, it's kind of awkward on my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it would kind of give me a headache over time.
Yeah.
So I started using that little lightweight one that you got over there.
I love this one.
I wore it last time I bush hogged. And it's just, it's just lightweight, and it made all the difference in the way my head felt at the end of the bush hog.
It's an awesome hat, and it's got a drawstring on it. It is made by, I saw it on there, I forget the name of it. Sunday is the name of the company.
Like Sunday the Day?
Sunday the Day. And I'm so obsessed with sun hats. I Googled the best sun hats, and this one always comes up.
Well, I enjoyed wearing that one on my last bush hogging experience because, like I said, it just didn't feel so heavy on my head.
It's super light.
And
I gotta get you one.
No, that is mine.
Oh, you stole mine.
Jason, you have 50 sun hats. I can at least wear that one when I bush hog, which is not every day.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I know you are. What's the dew point today?
Oh, my gracious. I'm guessing our dew point is going to be in the high 70s. You want to look?
You wish that I had not asked that?
No. I'm going to look. I should have been more prepared.
Oh, well. I told you if we wrote the answers down to these questions, nobody would want to watch us.
Dew point.
They want to know.
If you don't know, people think humidity is the thing.
74. Dew point 74.
That's at 76. Let's see. Let's click on one of these.
That one says 74.
That one says 79.
It feels like 98 degrees.
Yeah, it feels like 98. It's only 88.
It's only 88 and it feels like 98. UV index is very high. I told you I saw it. Right there it is, 76.
Dew point 76.
Humidity 67%. So
that doesn't sound right.
Why?
Our humidity's got to be way higher than that.
They said some lower temperatures were coming, but if it feels like 98, then you'd think the humidity would be higher.
Yeah.
I walked to the mailbox and I was sweating, so. Anyway, y'all let us know.
Here it is. This is currently, I found it. This is from the Weather Service. Our dew point is 77, and our humidity is at 70%. But the new thing is saying the humidity is not the bad thing, it's the dew point. And our dew point is always extremely high. That's what makes it feel so sticky. It's not the humidity, it's the dew point.
Well, I thought when the people came here from Seattle that they were going to step out of their car and melt.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to the heat.
They're not used to it.
But they said that this heat actually felt a little better to them than what they're used to in Seattle.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I just, I just had in my mind, I hope they can adapt to this heat. And,
right.
And that was their comparison was this was better than what they were used to.
Right.
So I don't know how, but I was glad because I was worried.
Yeah, I was worried too.
Like those people I talked about at Disney World that time that were from Asia, and they were in front of us on a ride.
Yes.
And it was June. It was June. That's when we were married. Jason doesn't know that, but that's when we were married. And we're standing in line, and there were some people from Asia, and they had these... their faces showed it all. They were just about to expire.
With the water squirting on them. Yeah, they were rough. And the people from the UK seemed to have struggled with the humidity.
Well, people from Alabama did too.
Yeah,
not that bad. We knew what we were.
To it, yeah.
We knew what we were in for, but that just shows the difference in what southern heat is about.
That dew point's rough.
So, all right. We hope y'all enjoyed this episode of I Can't Say
the
It.
Cogcast podcast.
Yes. And
y'all be good.